Anybody else have something you could share off your list?
We said to retain good talent. How are we going to do that in the future? To retain, to keep our employees.
Okay.
He's going to keep his
Career-
Yeah.
Career growth.
Right.
You know, kind of goals that they can reach.
Yes.
Carl had mentioned a couple things. His folks, what is the next step for them? Where can they go 3 years from now? Or will they have to move to a different company? I mean, he didn't say that in particular.
We just know that that's a leadership challenge.
It is.
You can't keep
It
your
is.
talent here.
Right.
It's going to, you know.
And I thought especially in IT, that's a pretty demanding position.
Right.
It's a high-paying job if you get somebody out of Georgia Tech, so I don't know what kind of, you know, how you're going to retain folks like
Yeah.
that are
Yeah.
good caliber.
Yeah.
And that probably works in all areas.
Oh, it does.
But that was just a good example.
Yeah. Yeah, and it goes way beyond retention. A lot of times we talk about employee retention and we understand why that's important,
Sure.
because companies that have high turnover and so forth, it's expensive. But I mean, we could also talk, if we turn this back to family, that's what you were starting to say, spouse retention.
Right.
Okay.
I got my lecture yesterday about interrupting.
Okay, yeah. Children retention, of course, for those children that grow up and keep boomeranging back, retention is generally not what you're trying to do with them. Okay, but it goes beyond that. It is about helping them to become all that they can be. How many of you have had the experience of hiring someone and then at some point they get promoted within the company outside of your department to another department to a higher level? I've seen some managers that don't even want that to happen because it's like, you know, I don't want to lose this person. Hey, that's one of the greatest things that you can do, is to show somebody. I've seen employees who think there's no room for growth here because my next step is my boss's job and she's not leaving until she retires. But in a company of 300 people, if they can think about the whole company and even the future growth of the company, there's lots of possibilities. And for you to be able to continually be talking to them about their possibilities. Everybody's got different possibilities. And like I said, I made a major career change. I'm thinking my career is going to take me in this direction, and then it went in this direction. And there's people who will come on board in IT who might be really great in another role 8 years from now. Who knows? But it's up to you to help people, and even if they don't stay here forever, to be the kind of a manager who cares about the person enough to just help them. And then sometimes people leave because it just makes sense for them to leave, and it's time to move on to greener pastures. And you're sorry to see them go, but you truly, honestly wish them well. So many employees have a problem with their boss. And when I talk to them about their relationship, they tell me, my boss doesn't care about me. My boss only cares about what I produce. And it's not always even true, but they have that perception. And boy, you know, effective leaders never give off those signals. Really effective leaders show people, not just tell them, but show them how much they care. Yeah, Charlie.
One thing that kind of goes along with that we discussed, that gets in the way of effective leadership, and it's becoming a challenge, is that in the way things are now, we feel like we have more and more work, and we're doing a lot of work.
Yeah.
And therefore, we're feeling like we don't have that time to be coaching our employees, and yet, if we could find that time and find the means, it would actually make things easier for us.
Yes.
If we help employees get where they need to be. And so we've had this discussion on our paper as well. I don't want any pearls, I just want to.
Well, it's true. I mean,
No.
That was the other thing we spent a lot of time talking about.
Yes.
right, you have all this
Yeah.
work, but you really can't delegate it to some of your employees. And I mean, somebody's got to do it. It's got to get done, so it
Yeah.
falls in your lap.
Yeah.
And if you
Get
can,
it
it'll make
done.
your job easier if you can do it, but then it's the time to do it.
Yeah, I do time management training and coaching as well, and you would be surprised at how many people, when I'm coaching them, tell me, I can't delegate this stuff. And when we sit down and really analyze it, I realize you can't today, but if you develop your people correctly, you will be able to down the road. It's an investment. It's developing people. You see, a lot of people think of delegation as dumping. It's like, what can I dump on other people so I have more time to do stuff that is more important? And everybody resents being dumped on. But true delegation is about people development. A lot of people say, it's just easier for me to do it myself. Well, it's not about it being easier. Yeah, it's harder to develop people. But it's not about you taking the easy way out. And too many times we take the path of least resistance, and that leaves us in a situation where often we can't even take vacation because this place would fall apart if I was gone for a week. I say, boy, are you a terrible delegator. Boy, are you a terrible people developer. You ought to be replacing yourself. You ought to be thinking about succession so that you can move on.
All right,
Or-
delegating dormancy.
I was told once, the greatest thing that can be said about you as a leader is if that bus hits you tonight,
Your
that
department's
department won't
covered.
miss the beat
Yeah,
tomorrow.
yeah, exactly.
Right.
You know, the interesting thing is that there are, if you and I, if any one of you and I were to sit down and talk, we could probably find some great opportunity costs. You know, it's interesting in the financial world, we understand opportunity cost. Because if you take members' funds and you invest them, and you get a very poor return on that investment, and there were better investment vehicles, but you didn't invest it wisely, then you missed some, you are paying the cost. It's the opportunity cost of a poor investor. And we have to look at time management in terms of opportunity cost. All the things that I'm doing, if these are absolutely the most important and valuable things, then great. But if there are other things that I don't have time for, like coaching people, for instance, and I'm not doing them, there is a cost to that. It's a real cost. It's a cost to the organization. We've all heard the story about the servants and the talents, okay? The talent is a monetary amount. And these monetary amounts were given to these various servants, and some invested it well, and some didn't. We're talking about leadership as well as stewardship here. And it's important for you to think about how you're investing your time. And a most important investment that you can make is the investment in growing people, growing their skill sets, which will result in you being able to have other people who can do some of the things that you think only you can do. I mean, if you think that only you can do it, you have a problem. You're a megalomaniac. You need to get over yourself. Okay? There is nothing that you do that somebody else can't learn to do. You're not that unique. Okay? So start figuring out how you can cross-train your people. As you look at your employees and realize that they can do things that you can do, you can teach them how to do it. If they seem like they don't have the competence to learn, if they don't have the sort of the quality consciousness that you have, if they don't have the experience that you have, that is your opportunity to transfer those skills, to transfer that attitude. If you can't do it, you're not a very good leader. Think about it. Leaders lead and others follow. Leaders are on the move and people are following in their footsteps. Leaders are not sitting there in their department doing what only they know how to do, and other people come to them to get stuff done. It just doesn't, that's not how it's supposed to work.